Catus Maximus here, this time with a review of the 1/4 inch and 3/8 Harbor Freight mini air ratchets, or compact air ratchets. These are pretty decent, and quite frankly one of their better, or even their best, just straight up 1/4 inch air ratchet. In the 3/8 they do have that impacting air ratchet, this thing right here, which works amazing. But as you can see, the 3/8 air ratchet, let me zoom out a little bit, is far smaller than their impacting ratchet. By holy smokes, it's almost 1/3 the length. So obviously a lot more compact, but a lot less power. They did have a professional little red handle version in the 1/4 inch, but they discontinued that a couple years ago. I wasn't able to pick it up before they discontinued it. As in Harbor Freight tradition, as you shop there over the years, you'll start seeing that they actually cycle through a lot of products. There's maybe 70 to 80% of their products are staples that they keep in the store year after year, things like gloves and calipers, all that kind of stuff. But about 10 to 20% of their products are only temporary. They have them for a while, and then they, find a new supplier, replace them. As you've seen, all their multimeters and their scan tools have totally disappeared. They're totally replaced with Zurich, and I forget what the new brand is. They've gone through all their new pliers. So all that old stuff that, you may remember, a lot of it's disappearing and being replaced with different products. Enough of that information. More about these. These are actually more used, so I figured I would start reviewing some of these Harbor Freight air tools. And these have worked out just great. They really need to be lubricated pretty well. I have noticed that they really, air ratchets that run dry, do slow down, but these really don't like to run dry. So not just oil daily, but if you're using these a lot, just keep some oil around. And really, air tool oil is good, but if you don't have anything, just put a drop of some kind of oil in it periodically. If you're using these a lot, you're supposed to oil them every hour. And then they run pretty good. They have plenty of torque. You can tighten belt tensioners and that kind of stuff, or tension belts with them, I should say, and run those tensioning bolts. They're not the most powerful, but what's nice is they're a nice balance. They have enough power where if you're not watching and they react, you will bang your hand, but it won't be like catastrophic. You won't get broken bones or anything like that, or hopefully not any severe cuts, while still having enough power to really get the job done. So with the air ratchet, the ratchet mechanism seems pretty strong. You're not supposed to break bolts, but most times on a stubby, if you can break the bolt with the stubby, you break it and then you can just run it out. It's what makes these real handy. I haven't had any issues with the ratchet head slipping, which has been real nice. The reversing mechanism is proper for an air ratchet. It has a very strong dentant in it. They also have very strong ball retainers, which is also real nice about them. And of course, all air tools, they have a couple flats, and you can just mount, you pull off the cover, and then you can use these flats to take it apart and rebuild it if you need to. And of course, easily service the trigger valve. And yes, indeed, that is a metal screw over the trigger valve, not a plastic one. So kind of a little bit surprising, but they do advertise these as a professional model, so they ought to be all metal. And they've just worked great. So I just wanted to bring a quick review. These things are like 30 bucks a piece. And quite frankly, you will use these a lot more. If you get one of those swivel joints, even though they have quite a bit less power than their big 3/8 air ratchet, especially around so many situations, just having the smaller and lighter weight ratchet, it's just more wieldy, and you find that you just use them all the time unless it doesn't have the power to do what you need. With that being said, these are great, but to compare them against some maybe more professional grades, here's a Matco little 3/8 compact air ratchet. It's pretty much exactly the same size, a little bit shorter, as we can see here, a slight bit shorter on the Matco. The other thing about the Matco is it does have more power. You do notice this. This little thing jams up, and you're not paying attention. It may not cut you, but it will hurt. This little thing has a surprising amount of power for a little air ratchet, and so that'd be the difference between obviously a Harbor Freight and an air ratchet that cost, holy smokes, 4 or 5 times as much money. This little ratchet was over $100. So, and then other differences would be the size of the ratchet mechanism on a more professional grade will be just a little bit thicker. And on the Matco, they have a little oil port right there, so it's easy to oil the ratchet mechanism. because both of these do have rear exhaust, so not a lot of oil actually makes it up from where you oil in the back of the tool up to the ratchet head. Most times I just put a few drops in the back here at the switch and around the side of the head, and that works just fine. And then on the 1/4 inch side, we have a Chicago pneumatic. It's always a shame because Harbor Freight makes Central pneumatic, and I'm sure Chicago pneumatic really hated that. And to tell you the truth, in my early years of collecting tools, I thought it was the same. So Chicago pneumatic, Central pneumatic, no. There is a big difference between those two companies. The Chicago pneumatic is actually surprisingly powerful. It's a bit longer, but it's also sold as a compact air ratchet. And so I just wanted to compare against that. And surprisingly enough, the Chicago uses a plastic screw where the Harbor Freight uses a metal one. Anyway, that was just about it for the quick review of these Harbor Freight Professional mini air ratchets. I just wanted to put that out there and let people know how they work out, especially after they've been used some. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Catus Maximus out.